Hi, friends, and welcome to August 2022. This is the Futurecast, and I'm your host and cosmic coach, Maurielle Laurenne. Let's get started with these key considerations for August. Number one, where are things stuck? How can tension or frustration inform you about what you're really ready to let go of? Number two, where do you need a radical wake up call? Where could some healthy unpredictability, surprise, or change do you some good? Number three, how could an unusual or even shocking proposition open you to previously unconsidered pathways? And number four, in what ways are you being your own jailer? And how could you be your own liberator? The star alignments for August of 2022 bring disruption. And this month is about allowing the interruption rather than resisting it. The upcoming fall season is going to be rife with unexpected changes and delays and somewhat uncomfortable yet probably necessary course corrections. So August is the setup month. Avoiding the inevitable is always what makes change feel uncomfortable. So this month, instead, let's focus on flow and surfing the waves of this impending transformation. So that way you'll come out on top. In this video, we'll analyze the overall energy pattern for the month ahead, and we're going to get you focused on maximizing the potential in precisely the right areas, along with a detailed breakdown of 6 key dates so you'll always know exactly what to do and when. I'm ready if you are. Let's dive in. So to understand August's role at the close of summer, we have to first understand what's coming during the fall season. This helps us place August as an important timestamp at the beginning of a larger series of events. During the second half of the year, we're going to experience a tough triple retrograde. That's 2 seasonal Mercury retrogrades combined with 1 biannual Mars retrograde that collectively run from September 2022 into January of 2023, but really affecting us till about March of 2023 in this overlapping series that never seems to give us a break in their retrograde intensity. So August is the month before the overlapping triple retrograde series. So it sets us up for the people and situations and themes that are ultimately going to get evaluated during the fall. August is about shaking up static energy, or perhaps shaking up a sense of false security in our lives. Something unexpected may rock your world, or it might create the perfect opening to make a radical change, depending on how you look at it. You might be wrestling with feeling torn between accepting that this unpredictable change has happened and maybe even feeling liberated to make a wild move versus this other side of you that's trying to cling to the familiar safety zone and do what's just traditionally always been expected of you. August is going to be a lesson in how you respond to the element of surprise. With those big picture patterns in mind, let's look at the day-by-day breakdown of our planetary playbook to see when and how it's all going to unfold. As we go through our planetary playbook, keep in mind the key considerations for August that we mentioned at the beginning of this video, so that way you can determine what opportunities you intend to maximize during the month. All right, let's take a look at the planetary playbook. Our month begins right around August 1st with a strong theme of interruption. Mars and Uranus bring a sense of shock, surprise, or disruption right there at the beginning of the month. Prepare to be shaken and stirred like a good James Bond martini. You know, change is always in our destiny, and interruption is definitely en route during the month of August, which could feel exhilarating or a bit unsettling, depending on how comfortable you are with unpredictability. This experience marks the first of several disruptions, or for you, perhaps breakout moves that are radically going to shift your course in August. This similar experience of disruption and perhaps unexpected opportunities and surprises will show up, as we said, at the first of the month, right around August 1st, again right around August 7th, another time right around August 11th, and one final time right around August 24th. So remember those dates, the 1st, the 7th, the 11th, and the 24th, as those could figure prominently on your pathway of radical shifts this month. And remember again that August is kind of like setting up the proverbial Jenga game pieces that are going to cascade and sort of fall into place during the fall season. So pay attention to the people or the opportunities that come into focus now during the month of August. I'd also advise, especially around the 1st with the conjunction between Mars and Uranus, to be a little bit careful with your physical safety. That transit is known for people being prone to accidents, violence, and even outbursts in the world. So do be mindful, be safe out there. Our month continues right around the August 11th full moon, where the Aquarius full moon theme has to do with letting go of limitations. That Aquarius full moon around August 11th checks in on progress that you've been having in terms of freedom and individuality and authenticity. Meanwhile, the full moon is coupled by another aspect with Uranus. This time it's the sun that joins. And it could be experienced as visionary or, again, perhaps disruptive. But either way, it takes you out of your box. So you may be needing to ask yourself, where are you ready for some breakout moves? Perhaps it's time to consider where you've been playing too small or where you've allowed limited thinking to limit your choices in an imaginarily trapped situation. August's energy wants us to bust out. So what does that look like for you? A bit of healthy rule breaking, most likely of your own self-imposed rules, could be exactly the jolt that's needed. Be your own liberator, not your own jailer. So remember that things always tend to peak around full moons, so it can be an excellent time for meetings, decisions, announcements, or events right there around the full moon of August 11th. Our story intensifies from August 20th into March of 2023. This is where our theme of grit is going to begin setting in. Now, we had mentioned at the beginning of this video that in the fall, we're going to be affected by a triple retrograde series, 2 seasonal Mercury retrogrades and 1 biennial Mars retrograde. Even though those retrogrades don't yet start in August, right around August 20th, Mars is going to get into position, into the sign, the location of the sky, that ultimately he is going to retrograde in the fall. So we can pay attention now for some really important clues. So the entire Mars journey through the sign of Gemini is going to be from August 20th through eventually March of next year. Starting on the 20th, it gets into the position where its biennial retrograde will occur. Now, the official retrograde is going to kick off right around Halloween, but definitely pay attention in August and September as the planet gets into position. Personally, the Mars retrograde is going to bring up a sense of repressed anger and frustration that needs to be aired, as well as causing some delays in our action. So you may want to start noticing where you're keeping the proverbial lid on it, because that lid may need to come off starting in the fall. People in situations that have been causing some enduring tension for you may reach a natural head during the fall season, but the signs will already start to show here in August. Taking action to break away or launch something on your own may be really what you want to do, but I have to forewarn you that with the impending retrograde, that process may happen a little bit more slowly than desired, kind of like a slow, uncomfortable, gritty grind as you try to pull away and maneuver into a new circumstance. Now, on the national level, this upcoming Mars retrograde is really going to exacerbate the idea of frenemies with the United States. So it's really going to increase that sense of global war tensions that are already happening between the US, Russia, Ukraine, China, and so on. That Mars retrograde is also really going to slow down some of our already challenged supply chains. So be aware of that now. And it's likely going to spell the announcement of yet another variant. I know we can't say the word on the internet because otherwise we'll get clocked, but we all know what we're talking about here. So what I would say is August is our month to prepare. August is our month to sort of stock up with extra supplies, extra cash, get the things done that we want to get done now before we may experience some greater limitations in the fall. So definitely start doing your prep work in the month of August. Okay, the next step. Our story continues around August 24th in a long-term theme that will also carry us into the beginning of next year. And this deals with restricted freedom. Uranus, the planet that's the big theme maker for our month of August, will begin its 6-month natural retrograde cycle from August 24th all the way into January of 2023. This is about shaking up that static energy in our life or shaking up a sense of false security. So again, ask yourself, where are things stuck? And where could some of that healthy unpredictability be good for you? So personally, what you'll be craving over the next 6 months is a greater notion of freedom and separation and independence and individuality. However, it may not come easily. In fact, you may be faced with limitations to your freedom that force you to fight and push and create and take risks against the resistance. It's like fighting your way out of your own jail cell. Now, nationally, the fall season is going to bring some new restrictions, particularly on financial freedoms and personal freedoms. So regarding money, watch carefully over the next 6 months as the US government attempts to pass financial legislation. For example, the current legislation titled the Inflation Reduction Act, which is up for discussion, which actually gives the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, another $80 billion to hire new tax auditors that are specifically hired to target small businesses and the middle class, right? So keep an eye on the government trying to push this kind of legislation that may take a bigger bite out of your bank account. There's also going to be likely new stringency around the tracking of small cash transfers through personal online methods like PayPal and Venmo and Zelle and Cash App, et cetera. So it may be harder for you to simply send a little extra cash to the grandkids or to family members without that being tracked and taxed by the government. And there may also be some increased dialogue about creating national digital currencies. This is happening in several countries around the world. The US is a little bit later to the game, but may certainly join the dialogue in the fall. Why? Governments love this because, again, that kind of digital currency can be easily tracked and taxed by the government. So in addition to this freedom restriction theme that we'll be experiencing from August to January of next year, food shortages and agricultural challenges may really continue to exacerbate and kind of skyrocket some of the pre-existing geopolitical tensions that are happening in different production areas around the world and really continue to press the average consumer. Meanwhile, I would actually keep an eye on the ultra wealthy who are buying up agricultural land, such as Bill Gates and others who are now the largest private landowners in America, just as the average consumer is on the verge of a food crisis. So definitely keep an eye out for those wealthy who are making land grabs. That's going to give them some incredible negotiating power with governments and local people. All right, what happens next this month? Our next date is from August 25th to October 29th, a theme coming up about you working out your relationships and possibly your business partnerships. So from August 25th to just before Halloween, Mercury is going to enter the sign of Libra, where ultimately it will retrograde for the period of September and October and then have to make up lost ground. But it already starts to get in position right at the end of August. So again, we may see some early signs of what is to come. Now, the Mercury retrograde through Libra that will be happening officially next month in September through October is start to see what is coming up around the themes of your relationships, possibly your business partnerships, fairness, healthy boundaries, propriety, and practicality in the situation. Those are going to be the events that really start to waterfall next month in September. And we'll talk a lot about those in the September video, but keep an eye now on those early signs about upcoming changes in your relationships and your business partnerships. All right. So the month rounds out with a rather exciting twist of events from the 26th to the 28th. And our theme there is, do you want the usual or do you want the unusual? So Venus enters into a bit of a wrestling match between rule-following Saturn and freedom-loving Uranus. So you might feel torn between convention and innovation in either a romantic situation or in a financial strategy. So are you going to go with the grain or are you going to go against the grain? Meanwhile, it's coupled by a Virgo new moon that is asking you to consider really the practicality of whichever direction you choose. So one idea might seem more thrilling or appealing than the other, but you got to ask yourself, can I really pull it off? Yeah. So the full story may not yet quite unfold until next month in September, but you might definitely be setting the stage now, right here at the end of August. Okay, friends. So now that you know the overall energy pattern for August of 2022, it's time for you to determine your destiny for the month ahead. Ask yourself our key questions again. Number one, where are things stuck? How could tension or frustration inform you about something you're really ready to let go of and change? Number two, where do you need a radical wake-up call? Where could some healthy unpredictability, surprise, and change actually do you some good? Number three, how could an unusual or perhaps even shocking proposition open you up to previously unconsidered pathways? And number four, in what ways are you being your own jailer? And how could you be your own liberator instead? Thanks for joining me here on the Futurecast. I hope to hear about your progress throughout the month, and I'd love to help you make the most of the energy that's available to you. If this information was helpful, then give us a positive affirmation by clicking the like button, subscribing to our video channel for regular updates, or registering for our monthly energy reports at livesymbolic.com. When you're ready to discover how the geocosmic influences can change your personal life, your business, and your relationships, then reach out for an individual coaching session at my office or online. I'm always here to help guide your path. Let's get you pointed in the right direction. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you again when our stars align.